It's now 72 days of President Tinubu's administration as we continue to monitor developments in his first 100 days in office. Thanks for joining us on the program. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. You can join the conversation right now on Twitter using the hashtag #first100days. We'll begin today with the coup situation in the Niger Republic, which is now in its second week. Heads of state and government of the Economic Community of West African States will convene yet another extraordinary meeting tomorrow, Thursday, 10th of August, to discuss the political situation in Niger. And this is coming after the expiration of the one-week ultimatum issued by the regional bloc to the military coup leaders to relinquish power and restore constitutional order. President Tinubu has now clarified that the sanctions imposed on Niger Republic are resolutions reached by the authorities of heads of state of ECOWAS and not the decision of Nigeria. His essay on media and publicity, Ajurin Galale, says there are no sentiments influencing the decision of the regional bloc, and it will continue to advocate for the entrenchment of democratic governance across the region.
We have been, let me phrase it this way. His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in his capacity as the chairman of ECOWAS, has been unequivocal in his position that diplomacy is the best way forward. In representing the consensus position of the ECOWAS heads of state, he has communicated clearly that he, along with his colleagues in the bloc, would prefer a resolution that was obtained through diplomatic means, through peaceful means, rather than any other. And that will be a position that is maintained going forward, pending any other resolution that may or may not result from the ECOWAS Extraordinary Summit holding on Thursday.
Special advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Ajurin Galale there. Joining me now from Accra, Ghana, is former ECOWAS Parliament Member, Frederick Opare-Ansah. He was also member of the Ghanaian Parliament for some 16 years, representing the Sohum constituency, and was Deputy Minister for Communications in Ghana between 2005 and 2009. Honorable Opare-Ansah, thank you for joining us on the program. The notion out there is that the junta in Niger may have taken their cue from what happened in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Guinea, and that ECOWAS is to be blamed for how it handled previous military interruptions in the sub-region. How do you react to that, being a former member of the ECOWAS Parliament yourself?
Thank you very much, and let me say a very good evening to your esteemed viewers. I am sure that ECOWAS certainly does have to share in the blame, in the plight of the citizenry in the sub-region. I have maintained previously that if ECOWAS does not take a strong position in terms of its ability to have an early warning system, as well as its ability to properly defend and patrol the Sahelian border of the region, these situations will keep arising. There are several underlying factors, in my view, for the occurrence of these coups, the coup d'etats. I mean, with the collapse of Libya, when Gaddafi was ousted, lots of small arms found its way southwards through the very porous Sahelian borders into the northernmost states of ECOWAS, namely Mali, Niger, Burkina, and those that actually have the Sahara and the Sahelian border with Libya and Algeria. 3 years before now, almost all the countries in ECOWAS had democratically elected governments. But we all also suffered the double jeopardy of COVID-19 and the effect of the Russian-Ukraine conflict. So the world economy, including the ECOWAS economy, has suffered. But you can understand that in most of these countries, the plight of the ordinary person could be worse, could be felt more seriously. Plus, the fact that lots of insurgents find it a bit easier to try and take over some of these areas. And naturally, the military in these countries would want to see better security for their countries, and it could result in the coup d'etats that we have seen. So yes, ECOWAS does have to share in the blame that of what we see today.
Particularly when you consider how long transition to democracy is taking in some of these countries. But there have been several attempts now to negotiate, with the junta in Niger, and that has been rejected. Envoys from Nigeria, ECOWAS, the US, and recently the AU have all failed in this regard. But we're just being told that the 14th Emir of Kano, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, and his entourage have been welcomed by the military head in Niamey, and Abdurrahmani Chiani himself is meeting with Sanusi Lamido Sanusi in that regard. But would you say there is a sense to which the situation in Niger is unique to the previous coups we've experienced in the sub-region, where you consider what seems an overwhelming support that they enjoy from the people?
Whereas all the coup d'etats could be as a result of the earlier factors that I enumerated, each country also has their own peculiar issues, their history, their past issues, their current situation, and ultimately what the future holds for them. And each country has also been affected to a different extent by the factors I mentioned there earlier, viz. The COVID crisis and the effects of the Russian-Ukraine war. These things can combine to make the population a bit more receptive. And I think in the case of Niger, we also know that there is a majority-minority ethnic mix in there, in the equation. And so, to a large extent, you can see the population feeling that, yes, we will support this action, but as a people in the entire ECOWAS region, is this good for us in terms of where we want to see our region move towards? And we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that for any one of these countries that suffers this, it encourages people in the more stable countries to also begin to look inward to see the possibility of these things. So we shouldn't completely write things off that this is far away in Niger, it's happening, it's kind of happening in Ghana or Nigeria. For me, the responses that the authority of heads of state are fashioning should be very firm. It should be something that they can repeat in other countries when it happens. I remember in Gambia, when there was supposed to be the change of government, it almost didn't happen, but for Nigeria putting its foot down and ensuring that that happened. We are almost in that kind of situation. When the first coup d'etat happened, if ECOWAS had put its foot down and sent a very strong signal of rejection, I'm not sure the second one would have happened in Guinea, and then the third in Mali, and now the fourth.
Talking about firm decisions, Honorable Ansah, ECOWAS is now due to make a decision at its extraordinary meeting tomorrow. I'm wondering what options you think are feasible between imposing more sanctions and staging a military action. Already border communities are groaning under the border being shut down, and you also know what a military intervention means, in the long run on that country and the neighboring communities.
Well, my view here is, if you look at the posture of the other three states, which have currently has military leaders in their even refusal to join the chiefs of defense staff in their meetings earlier meetings, I think last week or over the weekend. Clearly, if you decide to go for a straight military intervention, they may pool forces to go in and support the junta in Niger. Again, we have to be mindful of the fact that there is also usually the underlying external foreign interest. Niger has also recently come into certain rare mineral resources. And so we know that there is foreign interest there. Well, some of these foreign interests who probably are backing the junta sit quietly for ECOWAS to move in.
Okay.
You cannot be sure. So while the regional body considers its options in terms of military actions, I think there should be a strong negotiating force to ensure that we can reach some agreement and consensus with the junta. But yes, by all means, we have to strengthen the sanctions, because that is the only way you'll be able to get the population to turn against.
I guess we'll see the decision that ECOWAS will be